I call this like your conscience. That's what I call this one. Sometimes you don't know if to stay or to go. Sometimes you
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are back for day 2 of our sessions. And by your round of applause, let me see those who enjoyed day 1, what we discussed. Wonderful, yes. And we have an exciting day 2 coming up. We are having 2 sessions, then we are off to lunch with the Premier of Nevis, on Nevis, and then we will have excursions on Nevis today, what we call a sail and regale excursion. And tomorrow we will have our rail and trail excursions. We will discuss them later. So, I am happy that we're here today, and we are looking at the ways we can bring about that sustainable island state that is the vision of the government. And I want at the beginning to read a congratulatory message that has been sent to us from our St. Kitts and Nevis consulate there in Toronto, Canada. And it reads, Dear Conference, on behalf of the Consulate for St. Kitts and Nevis, I take this opportunity to extend warm greetings to the nationals and friends at the 2nd Diaspora Conference being held at the St. Kitts Marriott Hotel. As Kittitians and Nevisians in Canada prepare to celebrate the 41st anniversary of independence, the celebration of our diaspora and their achievements are a significant marker as our journey to become a sustainable island state. The impact of the diaspora communities in their countries of origin, also their countries of residence, is known to be the influential factor on the social, political, cultural, and scientific developments in these respective jurisdictions. In this regard, our diasporic communities in Canada, despite their many challenges to adjustments in Canadian society, remain committed to the celebration of our National Day and support the spectrum of social and economic initiatives in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. All nationals can be proud of this record of achievement and our continued contribution to keeping the rich, vibrant culture, values, and traditions alive in the Canadian mosaic. The establishment of the consulate in 1998, the opening of the High Commission in Ottawa, the appointment of the Diaspora Ambassador, and a revamped regional integration and diaspora unit has created an enabling environment for greater collaboration and cooperation with our diasporic communities and associations in Canada. The Consulate wishes to commend the Diaspora Ambassador, Ambassador Christine Walwyn, and let us give her a round of applause. Ambassador Larry Vaughan, head of the unit, and other members of the team for their commitment to the dedication to engaging with the Canadian diaspora. The Consulate extends best wishes for a memorable and successful 2nd Diaspora Conference under the theme, Diasporic Synergies in a Sustainable Island State. Highest regards, John L. Allen, Honorary Consul General. So let's put our hands together for this great message. I want to delay us no further, that we may get into today's first session, which is one that I think is just as important and perhaps leads into greater focus of what the diasporic and sustainable island state agendas, when they meet, must help to achieve. Because as a small island state, we have these challenges of climate action, that we have to build resilience into the ways we are going to work towards sustaining our lifestyles, sustaining our cultures, sustaining our societies. And so it is ideal that we have these discussions. And so I want to first recognize that water security becomes one of the fundamental areas we have to look at. How do we ensure that we have a reliable supply of potable water if we are going to experience growth and we are going to do so sustainably? And so we have a gentleman by the name of Rawlinson Isaac, a gentleman I know very well since I was a child, and there's no person who I think can expound on water security as well as he can in the latest days for what he has been pursuing. And so we want to welcome you, Mr. Rawlinson Isaac. Then we have to look at the energy supply, because oftentimes to get the water out of the ground, you need energy. And all other aspects of our lives, even to host this conference, it takes the energy supply, and we need to be able to discuss that. And there's no one more eminently qualified than Dr. Wayne Archibald to have that discussion coming from that Caribbean ethos of seeking to have clean energy, reliable energy, so that we are less dependent on fossil fuel that is oftentimes becoming more expensive to use in our productions and other work. Then we have to look at creating sustainable industries. Because if we are going forward sustainably, there are new industries that are going to be created to ensure that we are sustainable. How are we going to identify them? And we have Ms. Hillary Class, who will be able to speak to that focus of how we can point towards that new focus of work in St. Kitts and Nevis and in the diaspora, that we can build sustainable industries. And then we have to look at the jobs in the industries. We have a situation where we are heading towards a sustainable island state, and there will be new jobs that we never thought of before. How do we make sure that our people are eminently qualified, certified to pursue those jobs, so that within the new culture of sustainability, we have people who are trained, ready, and prepared for this? I have spoken too much. And so I now turn over to the chair of this panel, Mr. Everett Webbo Herbert, who is a voice of St. Kitts and Nevis. And so I say no more, I turn over to you, Mr. Everett Webbo Herbert.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vaughan, and good morning to everyone, and my own special welcome to you to the conference. And I find that I've always been fortunate in life, and I've looked at the conference and the varied topics, and fortunately they put the best one together so that we can look at it. Our procedure this morning, each panelist will speak for a brief time. However, they will cover almost everything in that particular area. We will afford you the audience right after that to make your input by way of questions or comments. And equally, we will ask you to be brief as well. I think everyone is aware that we are working on a time constraint, just as we are working on in terms of the issues that we will be dealing with. So, without further ado, we welcome our first panel member on water security, Mr. Rawlinson Isaac.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Herbert. Water security. I always ask the question, when I spoke to Larry, I asked him, why is he asking me to speak on water? I was trained as a banker / accountant / finance man. And so where this water came into my game. Then I said to him, it's okay, because I also spent a little of my time looking at project management. And what is striking in that is that you had the privilege of looking at all the areas of industry and where the opportunities are. And so it doesn't matter whether you study medicine or finance, you have that opportunity to look at the objectives. What are the sustainable goals? What are the objectives that bring you cash, dollars and cents? And how can you get it done regardless of your particular training? And so I got involved in the water business, recognizing that it is an essential ingredient. And I remember hearing the Prime Minister at some stage saying, after oxygen and fresh air and so on, it's water. So what I did, I simply created a kind of an ecosystem, and that is you look for the best in the business. So we looked in California and so on, that do a lot of water business, and we picked up the best hydrogeologists. We look in Texas and so on, where there was the best involved in drilling, and you bring them together. And then my little job was, how could you use those expertise for the benefit of our country, i.e. sink its navies. Hence, that is why I'm involved in the water business. I also share a view in life, and I go to Ecclesiastes 1:9, which reminds me every time that there is nothing new under the sun. In this business, I always work with my little sayings, as I would call them. And I have one here for this morning, that if we change the way we look at things, the things we look at will change. And so we're talking water sustainability and security. And to me, it is easy because what B does is engage in providing potable water. And so you learn quickly. Water comes from above, rain sent by the Almighty. It hits the soil and it enters, goes through the soil. That's what it does. Seeps through the soil. It forms below there what we call groundwater, because it meets down there, we refer to as the aquifer. And this aquifer is a body of rocks and sediments. Water creeps to it and goes in, finds a spot underneath there, and it stays there. Your job, our job, is to extract it from down there. So what do? I get the technical people, as I say, the hydrogeologists, and they simply do all the science. They have technology like magneto, and the big word there is magnetotelluric. Those of us who went to school over 60 years ago, like me, would realize that, and you did little physics, we'll understand that that has something to do with measuring electricity and what we refer to as electrical resistivity. The other one they use as a technology is SE, which is seismoelectric technology, which use all type of equipment and get into the soil and determine the electrical impulses. And it is amazing. I never knew that that happened. I always thought the water goes in there, it stays underneath there, and somebody draws it out. But no, it's a little more technical than that. It goes into these aquifers, and it stays there, and somebody has to go and extract it. So what we do, we use the technology, go in and pull it out. That is easy. You put it, hook it into the pipe, and you send it around, and people use it. We're talking water sustainability. And so we all know that we learned a long time, if your outflow exceeds your inflow, then your upkeep is your downfall. And so we're talking about water shortage, and every time we look, there's some shortage of water somewhere. And so we sat down and worked out, how can we address this situation? If there's a strong demand for water, people using it up, regardless of whether we think enough water is underneath there, when you're extracting it, it's only a certain amount going to come. And if you take out more than you put in, soon or later, you'll be struggling. And we experience that around here all the time. So what we did, we come up with a system of taking the water, running from the mountain or wherever you can catch it, and you lead it towards where you do your wells. So we are engaged in drilling wells. We drill into the aquifer, extract that water, put a pump underneath there, pump it into a stream. It goes into a reservoir and spread around the whole country. That is the name of the game. But I said to you, if you're taking out more than you're putting in, then you have to find a way of recharging. So what we have decided we can do, we charge it by finding and catching the water, whether it's through streams or rivers, and you get close enough to where your wells are. Store it a little on a hillside, more or less, so that you don't have to invest in electricity and so on to pump it. And you use gravity feed and let it come down close enough to where you had dug that well. That is in the aquifer. Now, if you get it there, it is in a type of basin. So you take another drilling effort and you go very close enough to where you had that well, because you already discover an aquifer is there, and you dig another well close enough. When you capture that water, you create like a basin. And so that basin then directs that water into what you call your fresh injecting well. So you got a well juxtaposed to the one that is there. And the fact that you already discovered water inside here, you just let that fresh water that you have gathered in those basins go right down into that aquifer, into where that water is stored. So while you were drying out water, you had to find another way of putting it in. So we come up with that skill that it must be a way that you can do that and recharge. And so if you look there on the diagram, it helps you. On the top one, well, the one we have on the far right, or my right, yes, of where your left, is that we did some work in Cayon. And so if you see there, we found about a well had in about 800,000 gallons a day. And out of that, we were able to extract about 400 and say about 50 to avoid, upsetting the base. And then we went from there and we went across to Molyneux and we found another one. So what we are saying now in terms of water sustainability, what you're seeing there is that you drill another well inside, and where you see that blue there, that new water coming from what you store, because you're creating these wells and you have storage capacity. So you're grabbing the fresh water, point it down into another injection well right there, and then it feeds into that platform, and then you dry it out of that. Below here gives you a better picture of what happens. So you come in there, that there where you're seeing down there is that what we're talking about, the company well, if you wish. And so the water comes in and goes there and then spreads across in the aquifer, and then you pump it out and you get extra water. So you don't have to rely on the aquifer, the capacity and potential of the aquifer. You can keep drilling and do that. Could you imagine that we do that around the whole of St. Kitts, where there are wells already, and we find a nice way of preserving and adding to it? That is what they're referring to as the sustainability. So that diagram there is it. It's only 10 minutes, so that will take me 2 days to address. So I'm moving on from there to some others. So that is what we are saying. Beef up the supply by injecting water into the existing well and make it work. Once you do that, we will not have the type of shortages that we have. The other thing we can do is make it mandatory for people, everybody building a house, to put on some kind of catchment. Put on something under your house. Where I live, I have about 40,000 gallons of water underneath there. Could last me for 2 years. The point I'm making, if there's no water, I don't have to worry. What we have to do here in St. Kitts and Nevis is to mandate it. If you have to legislate it, do it. Because people must pay some attention to looking after their own interests and, of course, the interests of the country. And I'm saying that it is not so hard to do. Because even if you have to back it up by putting in your own generators to pump it, what the government can easily do is give you a credit, a tax credit, call it whatever credit, electricity credit. Find some means of measuring the usage, and you pass it over to them, and the electricity that you use, you get a rebate on it as one of the ways of keeping that in. We look at schools. Schools, churches, all these big buildings that we have. Imagine the amount of water that is caught on top of them and just run off over in the play field. You have 500 children in school. Could you imagine everybody going using up that water every minute? No. Capture that water from the school building, put it into a reservoir, make it available. And as I say, if it is costing too much, let the government give you that credit. Big businesses, the Rams businesses, the central bank, all that area collecting water, and you see what is happening to it. It just run off. If they catch it, store it, control it, manage it, then you'll be surprised to see that we will never be out of water. The other area we talk about is desalination. And we say if we have to complement what we have in terms of wells, groundwater, we must go and do desalination. But we know with desalination, it is a very expensive business. It's about 4 times as expensive as maintaining drilling or doing groundwater. And I say that because the facts are there. I was listening to the Minister for Water, and he said that he's putting aside, or he has put aside, $50 million for 2 million gallons of water per day in the aquifer, I suppose I mean downtown. What we're suggesting to him is that save that money and spend it in education or something else. All we need to do is drill, like I say, that formula there, and we can take care of that. When you use desalination, it's costly. And as I say, you have to find pipes to bleed it in, you have to use white pipes, it's expensive. The danger in it is that you're destroying your reefs and your water because there's something they call hot brine, I think is the word. When it gets there, poison out the fishes and so on. If you have hurricane, if you have oil spills, if you have electrical knockout and so on, all of that not going to help us. And we are going to be paying extremely dearly for it. So I am saying now in conclusion, my 10 minutes, is that that which cannot be defined cannot be measured, and hence it cannot be managed. And I am saying that what we have to do is take all of these data that we can collect and find meaningful ways of addressing this water sustainability issue and security. You don't have to go too far to find the competency, because BEAD, B-E-A-D, is right here and can provide you with that sustainable water for the rest of the next 50 generations. May it please you.
So we thank Mr. Isaac, and is right in concert with what I promise: feasible, workable solution, creativity. I just have one question for Mr. Isaac, which will come at the end of all the presentation, and also at the end of your questions. So remember that's the procedure. You will be able to ask your questions or make your input first. Our second panel presenter is Hilary Glass. And she will be speaking on the sustainable industries.
Hey, good morning, everyone. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to speak on this topic. This is my topic is creating sustainable industries. I'm not really going to talk about industries per se, but things that would help in putting sustainable industries together. With a background in health and safety, occupational health and safety, I have always been involved with the environment, whether it's with workers' safety or the environment, the inside or the outside environment. My role was to make sure that workers are protected and that the inside is protected and the outside as well in terms of environment. And so with this, we look at, as an occupational hygienist, we look for, we anticipate, recognize, we assess, and then we look for controls that would protect workers. And so one of the, and as we strive as a country towards a sustainable island state, it's imperative that we implement cost-effective technologies that will move the country forward. And I use some of my background to put this information together. And that is one of the reasons I got involved with this organization, Rawlinson Technologies. It was established to bring cutting-edge solutions to the Caribbean that will reduce consumption, waste production, and pollution. One of the products that we're working with is MST bar. It's a green, effective alternative to steel rebar. I have some samples, what it looks like. For those of you who know what rebar looks like, it's usually steel. This is the rebar. So I'll tell you a little bit about it. I'll tell you how it's used, and I'll tell you how it would benefit the country if we adapted in this rebar rather than the steel rebar. So, MSC rebar, what's it? It's a glass fiber reinforced material. It's produced by heating silica sand in a furnace to its melting point, and then to produce the glass fiber. Then the glass fiber is combined with a polymer and to form the material called rebar. Unlike steel, it doesn't contain steel, so it can bend. You can do just about anything with it, and it does not corrode. These are some examples of what it looks like, how it comes in the forms in which it comes. It can come in different shapes and in length. Just to give you a little bit of history about MSB rebar. Steel rebar was developed approximately 100 years ago. Steel rebar was developed approximately 100 years ago. They started off with this in the 1920s. Engineers came up with this steel rebar to reinforce concrete. That's a reinforcement for concrete. It worked pretty well over the years, but after a number of years, they realized that, buildings are falling apart because of the corrosion from the steel rebar itself. So around the 1980s, 70s, they decided to coat the steel rebar with zinc to produce a galvanized rebar. And then they also used an epoxy, coated the steel rebar with epoxy. These measures were taken to reduce the time for corrosion. They tried a number of different things, but it still resulted in corrosion. The corrosion of the rebar broke down the concrete, and then the building falls apart. So in the 1990s, engineers came up with this material called, glass fiber rebar, a glass fiber solution. While concrete is strong in compression, it is relatively weak in tension. What they found over the years is that the steel bars cause the concrete to deteriorate. So fast forward to the 1970s, came up with the glass fiber reinforcing material. If you look around, ironically, prior to the 1900s, we didn't use rebar. It wasn't around. So in buildings, we had buildings that were constructed with stone. Stone buildings are there, so you're familiar with these buildings, for instance. You go down to Brimstone Hill Fortress. When was it built? Anybody knows? In the 1600s, right? Around that time. It's still fairly stable, hasn't fallen apart, right? Wingfield, this is the picture at the bottom, is Wingfield Estate area. And some of the buildings right down at the circus, the bottoms are made from stone, and there's no corrosion, they don't fall apart. So that shows you, back before then, what's happened. Corrosion is, the cost of corrosion is exorbitant. Millions are spent each year to maintain buildings. Buildings like this building, for instance. This building was built, I think, in the early 2000s, and they've gone through renovations because of the most buildings after about 20 years that has the steel rebar in will have corrosion, and it'll cause the concrete to disintegrate, and in order to keep it up you have to either pull the rebar out, put new one, and put more concrete in. Another thing that they also do is they try to add more concrete to stop the corrosion from happening. It's used, MSC bars can be used in any construction application. Healthcare, education, residential building, industrial, you name it. Any place where you're using construction, that's where you can use the rebar. It does not conduct electricity, so there's no grounding required. Unlike steel, it's non-conductive, so it will not interfere with your instrumentation. I'm sure that some of you, when you're using your phones or your internet, some buildings, you get job calls or you get distortion during your calls. That's because of the steel in the building, but there's static, it interferes with your Wi-Fi signal, and that way you get job calls. With MSC bars, you'll get better Wi-Fi signals anywhere, in homes, in schools, in hospitals, in offices. There'll be less decay of the components. So one of the other features of MSC rebars is that it's lightweight. It's quarter the weight of the steel. Normally, you won't be able to carry around this type of equipment like that, steel like that, the rebars, the steel rebars like this. They're very, very lightweight, and they're very lightweight, and they can help you save money. For instance, if we're shipping rebars, one container of rebar would be equal to 3 containers of steel. So you're going to save money in terms of shipping. You'll also save money. There's a worker here who's carrying that rebar. There's no way that you'd be able to carry a steel rebar. A worker will be able to carry a steel rebar like this. It also has high tensile strength and bonding strength. So when the rebar, when it's placed inside of the concrete, if you wanted to take it out, you will have to break the concrete in order to take it apart. Whereas with the steel, it disintegrates and it falls out easily. It's a stronger material, it's lighter, and it's greener. It does not, in terms of it does not conduct heat or cold. Typically, when you have concrete buildings, building structure, the concrete sweats after a certain period of time. Once the high temperature gets to the concrete, it causes it to sweat. You get condensation. When you get condensation, moisture builds up, mold. Then you get mold fall. Anywhere you have moisture, you're going to get mold. So that it will help with the reduction of mold in buildings. It's as another feature, because of the lightweight, you may not have to use as many lifting devices, cranes. The use of cranes, other lifting devices to lift the concrete will be eliminated or reduced at that extent. And you can cut it to any shape using any type of cutting material. You can also bend it to shape. It can also be bent to shape, but that's done in the factory. It comes cut to shape. So what we would do for a building, we will get the specs. So you'll get the specs, the drawings, and determine what do you need. You'll determine your structure, how many pieces, what kind of bends you need, and it will be bent and cut to specification. So when it comes on the site, it's like putting a Lego block together. All the pieces are there. You just put the parts together, and cuts down on time savings with the workers. Work is done much faster, and so your project moves much quicker. Some of the benefits there that you can see, these are some of the benefits, some of the things that I talked about. Talking about water security, you can mix concrete using seawater, so we don't have to get into the water system, our potable water system. You can use that to mix the concrete. If you're using that regard, if you were using steel, it would break down much faster. We live on an island where we're surrounded by the sea. Salt is all around us. Salt is in the water, in the air, in the soil, and so corrosion forms. We get corrosion. This product has some of the other features. It's also fire rated. It's fire rated over 3 hours. It's lightweight. It's corrosion resistant. It has economical current, so yeah, that's the water. It's 3 times the strength. It's 3 times stronger than steel, and it's a green product. It takes 75% less energy to produce than steel. It's also certified by a number of organizations, including the International Council Code, the American Concrete Organization, Canadian Standards Association, International Safety Organization, the British Standards Institute. So there's been quite a lot of certification that's being given. And it's used in quite a number of different countries. It's used in the Federation. I'm going to show you a few slides of how it's used in the Federation. So this is a radiological diagnostic center that was built recently. I think it's close to the hospital in the Newtown area, in that area. Some of you might be aware of it. This is during the construction of that facility. So the bars there, how they're laid out, and then the concrete is poured on it. As I mentioned, with this product, you don't have to use as much concrete as if it was a steel, because you're not getting any corrosion, so you're cutting back on the amount of concrete that you use. We also use it, it's currently being used now in a chalet in Nevis, that's close to the sea, obviously, and this is where we're at right now on the construction. So this is the base of the chalet, and this is the area they're looking at putting it together. We were at Carambola on Sunday for lunch. I don't know if some of you, this is during the construction, if some of you look to the right of where we were sitting, there was an open structure there. That structure was built totally with MSC bar, glass fiber, reinforcing polymer. So this is some of the things at the sea wall. one of the reasons the owner wanted it done because at the sea, and he knows that this will last over 100 years as compared to the steel rebar, which will last only 20, 30 years at the most. So this is, so that's it there. This is the open structure that I was referring to. So on the construction, that's it there, and it's already in use. So that's what it looks like after, right now when they're having functions there. So the area, all this area here that's steel rebar enforcement. And it was used he used the steel rebar, it was even tied off. All the ties that you need to tie the rebar off was done with plastic. So everything there was done with plastic or steel rebar or MSD bars. No steel in that building at all. Around the Caribbean, it's used with, this is in the Bahamas, has adopted it. They've put it in their building codes. So all the buildings in the future in the Bahamas now are being built using this MSC bar. It's also used in Guyana. There's a building here. This is going up. This is a supermarket project and a brewery that they're building. That's going up there as well. And I have here just a short video that was made in the Bahamas that gives a little information about it.
Hey,
I didn't have any volume, sorry.
Yeah, don't rust. Gone are the days of cracking spoils. That's a better easy to install. Fiber steel is here to stay. No more repairing that breakup wall. FRP's the new steel in town. No salty air will ever break down. Rust or corrosion, that's in the past in the Bahamas. Now we're built to last. Say goodbye to rust forever, man. Goodbye to corrosion by the ocean, man. Say goodbye to rust forever. No rust, no corrosion. Fiber steel in our future, brother, man. FRP's in our future. For more information on FRP.
These are the benefits of using MSC bar. So as we move towards building a sustainable island state, it's important to know objective indicators and parameters to facilitate decision-making and obtain the most appropriate solution. Our future is not predetermined. It's what we do with it that determines our future. Thank you.
Okay, time-wise, we don't have a lot of time left. So I will be asking our next two presenters to work along with me, right? And let's see whether or not we can make that time. Dwayne Archibald on green energy is our next presenter.
Good morning to everyone. As I reflect on why I decided to start my company, came down to a few undeniable facts about energy and the landscape that we face. On average, households here in St. Kitts are spending about $350 per month on their electric bill, with rates as high as 27 cents per kilowatt hour, which is the largest or amongst the largest globally. Add to that the cost of fuel, which can reach about $16 per liter, and I think it can be more than that, meaning that it costs close to between $90 and $150 just to fill up your tank. Right? These rising costs are not only just unsustainable, but also a major burden on families making a minimum wage of between $450 to $500 per week. Right? And also on small businesses. So this made me realize that we need better and more affordable solutions to achieve energy security and sustainability. That's why I started my company, Green Solutions International, SKN Incorporated, to provide clean, cost-effective energy alternatives that not only reduce our reliance on fossil fuels, but also help to move us forward towards a future where energy is affordable, renewable, and available to everyone. Now, GSI was founded in 2017, right? And incorporated here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and is dedicated to the advancement of sustainable development across the Caribbean. We are also registered in Jamaica and have operations that extend throughout the Caribbean diaspora, focusing on the region's energy landscape through innovation, education, and workforce training. Our mission is simple, yet powerful, to help countries achieve 100% sustainability by developing clean energy solutions. We are driven by a deep commitment to creating a future where renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and geothermal can replace traditional fossil fuels. Throughout our comprehensive workforce training and education programs, we empower individuals and communities to participate in this transition, ensuring that the knowledge and skills required to sustain these challenges are cultivated at a local level. By partnering with governments, education institutions, and private sector entities, GSI delivers tailored solutions that accelerate the adoption of these technologies while providing meaningful employment opportunities in the green energy sector. So our holistic approach supports countries in meeting their climate goals, reducing their carbon footprints, and becoming resilient to the impact of climate change. Now, at GSI, we proudly embody our tagline, locally rooted, globally connected. Our deep connections to the Caribbean fuel our mission to drive sustainability through locally tailored solutions, while our global partnerships bring cutting-edge innovation and technology to the region. One of our key global alliances is with the IRENA SIDS Lighthouses initiatives. IRENA stands for the International Renewable Energy Agency. This is a program that supports small island developing states in their transition towards renewable energy. Through this partnership, we work collaboratively to develop clean energy projects that empower Caribbean nations to achieve their sustainability goals. This global connection allows us to bring world-class expertise to local projects, ensuring that our communities here in St. Kitts and Nevis not only meet our energy needs, but also thrive on a resilient, low-carbon future. So by combining local knowledge with global resources, we can bridge the gap between innovation and implementation, making sustainable development a reality in our federation and also in the Caribbean. Now, why islands, right? I oftentimes use this slide in my presentations, depending on the audience that I'm speaking to, and I'm aware that some folks here are not, don't follow the energy and climate situation on an everyday basis. But islands like ours are heavily dependent on fossil fuels. And like I said in my opening, we have some of the highest electricity rates and water insecurities, right? In the islands, we have an abundance of renewable resources, and we have a small population, which is an ideal case, showcase the potential for renewable energy penetration. And as you all know, because we feel it every year, we are very vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, such as sea level rise and the severity and frequency of hurricanes. Now, before we dive into the tremendous opportunities that renewable energy presents, it's important to acknowledge that the journey towards a sustainable future is not without challenges. Both specific and general barriers stand in the way of the transition to renewable energy. These obstacles vary from region to region and take on a different form depending on the context. On a broad level, barriers such as high upfront costs, even to install a solar PV on your house, the regulatory and policy constraints that we have in the Federation, right, where these policy mechanisms will tend to serve as an incentive for us to want to get a solar system installed on your house. The intermittent nature of renewable energy sources often impede a widespread adoption. Meanwhile, in more specific contexts, here in St. Kitts, we have additional hurdles which include limited access to financing and a lack of infrastructure and the need for specialized workforce training. Now, understanding these barriers is important because they provide a roadmap for the kinds of innovation that are necessary to help to overcome them. Now, in today's conversation, and they say I only have 10 minutes, but I'll take 8 minutes, we will explore these barriers in some detail and discuss how they impact our island and how we can address them to unlock the full potential of renewable energy. On April 9th of this year, we launched the Caribbean Center for Research, Innovation, and Workforce Training at the Clarence Fitzroy Bryan College. It was done in a collaborative spirit, and it's a groundbreaking initiative that's designed to equip our local workforce with the skills and the expertise needed for this renewable energy transition that I'm talking about. This center serves as a hub for high-quality training and certification, focusing on solar energy, electric vehicles, and other green technologies. So our vision doesn't stop there, because we have already engaged with OECS to establish satellite centers across all of the OECS, all of the 6 OECS countries that are connected to the core program that we have in St. Kitts and Nevis, such that every island in the OECS can benefit from world-class workforce development training to fit their local needs. One of our key programs is the Train the Trainer initiative, which has already empowered some of our local professionals to deliver NABCEP-certified solar PV training. Next on the horizon is the anticipated EV technician training, ensuring that we have the expertise to support the transition to a sustainable transportation. So the Prime Minister's office has generously donated $100,000 in addition to the $98,000 that we received from the UNDP Small Grants Program in order to launch this center and to purchase 3 electric vehicles that should be coming into St. Kitts this week. So these programs will help, as I said before, to build the workforce in the Caribbean, in St. Kitts, so that we can take charge of our own energy independence. Now, as part of our ongoing efforts to advance sustainability and climate action, we recognize that agriculture, okay, let me go back here. Let me just take a step back just to show you what we have here. These are some of the images taken from our Train the Trainer program at the CFBC. We can see there we have Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Hanley came to visit the course, and also our energy minister, Congress Maynard, there taking a picture with the class. And this was done about 2 months ago. And these 15 trainers that you have here will actually be teaching these courses at the college in order to continue to get those certified and trained so that they can go out there and help in our efforts towards sustainability. So, a few weeks ago, we visited the farms on St. Kitts and Nevis, and we met with local farmers. And during our visits, we discussed the challenges from the impacts of climate change on the crops due to the rising cost of energy and water. So these conversations reinforce the importance of integrating sustainable energy solutions in the agricultural sector to help support our farmers. Now, our focus is to work hand in hand with the local farmers to implement renewable energy solutions, such as solar-powered irrigation systems and energy-efficient technologies which will reduce their operating costs and enhance their productivity. By providing the farmers with the tools and the training they need to adopt green energy practices, we are helping them create a more resilient agricultural sector that can thrive in the face of climate change. Through these engagements, we've also been able to introduce farmers to the opportunities available through workforce training programs in solar energy and electric vehicles. So this dual approach, empowering farmers to adopt green energy while providing pathways for employment in the renewable energy sector, it strengthens each community and also contributes to our national climate action plans, right? So while we look at solar, while we look at transportation, while we look at energy storage, while we look at digital solutions, our next step would be to create what we call the next generation of infrastructure integration, right? And in the quest for sustainable development and climate action, integrating energy, transport, and digital solutions is critical. So what we see here is a visual representation of the building blocks that are paving the way for a resilient and technologically advanced future. The foundation of the next-gen infrastructure, it starts with renewable energy generation and storage. This includes using solar and wind energy not just for individual homes, but also for businesses and entire communities. Grid upgrades are essential to ensure that the power generated from these renewable energy resources can be distributed effectively and reliably across the islands. Microgrids take this a step further, providing localized energy independence, allowing communities to manage their own power while remaining connected to the larger grid. The integration of EV charging stations support the growing fleet of electric vehicles, thus reducing the carbon footprint of transportation. On the transportation front, we are seeing a paradigm shift from the rise in the number of electric school buses and multimodal accessible mobility systems. These allow for more flexible and sustainable transportation, integrating electric bikes, electric cars into a cohesive system. This also sets the stage for futuristic development like Ventiports for urban air mobility, preparing cities for drone-based or electric vertical takeoff landing aircrafts. A modern and smart infrastructure isn't complete without the integration of digital solutions. So the digital asset management, it allows for real-time monitoring and optimization of energy systems, while open APIs and data analytics help ensure that the systems are scalable, secure, and future-proof. Finally, platforms for communication and optimization across assets allow for seamless management of energy, transport, and digital services in an interconnected system. Now, what you see here, and I'm not sure how to play this, thanks to John back there who provided this drone image of the what you see here is a drone image of our landfill in Connery, right? And this is not sustainable. We have waste in this landfill from before all of us were born, right? And I think we need to come up with some solutions to address our landfill in order to ensure that 50, 100 years from now, future generations are not faced with environmental, health, and other issues that we left behind for them. So I went to Bermuda and I visited the waste to energy facility that they have there. And we have established a team dedicated to begin the initial work on converting this landfill to a waste to energy project. Now, this initiative will represent a significant, thank you very much. This initiative will represent a significant step forward in both waste management and renewable energy generation. So by converting waste energy, we not only reduce the amount of waste going into the landfill, but we create a sustainable energy source for the island. Now, this is something that we can begin right now. The importance of this project cannot be overstated. It addresses the pressing environmental concerns, such as the landfill overflow, it reduces harmful emissions, and it contributes to the goal of energy independence by harnessing waste as a renewable resource. So by taking immediate action, we can transform the environmental challenge into an opportunity for sustainable development. Now, I'm not sure how long I've been talking. I think it's been about 4 minutes. But I'll just take 2 more minutes, right? My sister always tells me that I need to explain to people what this waste to energy technology does, because most people wouldn't understand it, right? But what it does, and I'll just skip over this slide. This is me in Bermuda. And what you see here on the right-hand side, if I can, I'm not sure how to do this. What you see on the right-hand side is a waste-to-energy facility. So instead of having a landfill, all the garbage trucks come into this facility, they dump their waste there, it gets sorted, treated, and so forth, and then it goes into the incinerator, and then it burns and produces heat that spin the turbines to produce energy, right? And the energy that's produced from this waste-to-energy facility in Bermuda, it actually powers the facility, it powers the desalination plant that they have right next to it, and it also sends a lot of electricity onto the grid to provide power to nearby residents and so on. So this is something that we can do here. I know that the Prime Minister has spoken about it on several occasions, and so we took it upon ourselves to actually go to Bermuda and help to seek these solutions to bring back the St. Kitts for our people here. Okay, now it's playing. Okay, there are other areas of research and collaboration that we will talk to, but I'll just skip over them for now, because what I want to do is to bring one of our interns up to speak for about 2 minutes about an app that she's developing in order to help farmers and identify diseases and so forth in their quest. So we need some help here. And while we set that up, I encourage you all to go to our YouTube page and subscribe to my podcast. It's GSI_SKN. And you can find it on all major platforms on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, YouTube, and Apple. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dajanaba Forbes. I'm a computer science student at Northern Caribbean University. And as was mentioned, I'm an intern at Green Solutions International. So I would like to ask a question. How many of us know farmers? Do you know any farmers personally? Lovely. Is anybody in the audience a farmer? Great. I've had the beautiful pleasure of growing up with a farmer, my father, Howard Forbes, and I have watched him from having a black thumb to having a green thumb. And over the time, he has expressed his problems in the farm. And as you can see, I would like you to read the first one with me. It is climate change and natural disasters, pest and disease management, limited access to technology and information, market access, competition, and water management. Now, climate change is the increased frequency of hurricanes and unpredictable rainfall patterns, which are devastating to crops. Farmers can lose significant portions of their crops annually due to pests and diseases exacerbated by climate change. With the limited access to technology and information, many farmers lack real-time data for informed decision-making. And with market access, the small-scale farmers struggle to compete with cheaper imports and access lucrative markets. With water management, inefficient irrigation and water scarcity are major concerns in many areas. This is where I introduce AgriSmart, an application under development. I want you to imagine a farmer who notices unusual spots on his crop leaves. They would open the app, take a photo of the affected leaves, and upload it. The AI system would analyze the image, comparing it to a database of known pests and diseases. And within moments, the farmer would receive an identification of the issue, along with recommended treatment options tailored to Caribbean farming practices. That's just one of the features. My solution is a solution that is out there. The issue is it is not tailored for us. It is not for Jamaicans. It's not for, Kittitians. I want to make something that is beneficial to the people of the Caribbean, the farmers of the Caribbean. So what are the key benefits of AgriSmart? Improved crop yields and profitability, reduced reliance on traditional, less sustainable farming practices, enhanced access to markets and better prices for produce, improved farm management efficiency and reduced labor costs, increased resilience to climate change and natural disasters. So this is my call to action. Share your agricultural knowledge. Many of you have family members still involved in farming. What challenges do they face that we might not have considered? Suggest cultural adaptations. How can we make the app more user-friendly for farmers across different Caribbean cultures? Explore diaspora markets. Could AgriSmart, this app, help connect Caribbean farmers with communities eager for homegrown products? AgriSmart is more than just an app. It is something that is very close to my heart. It was born out of trying to solve an issue for my father and then realizing that this issue is not unique to my father. It is not unique to the Jamaicans. It is something that every Caribbean farmer is facing. It's a step towards transforming agriculture and improving the livelihoods of those who feed our nations. Thank you very much.
So we thank Dr. Archibald and company. And I hardly ever did a show without a light moment. So Dr. Archibald, thank you for that as well. Our final presenter is Psyche Southwell. And don't forget, as soon as she is finished, we will take your questions and comments, which also will be brief. this side.
In 2019, I had to bury my mother after a sudden death. I found myself responsible and inundated by handling her legal affairs in the aftermath of that. One day I was in an office, and that office required that I surface an original copy of her birth certificate to prove our connection. So in my haste, I drove actually, up to the Bastyr Health Center, stood in a long line, and it was hot, the kind of heat that we're feeling right now, right? I got to the counter, I stated my affairs, and my homegirl looked at me and said, Psyche, you got your $3 stamp? In my haste, I forgot, and I should know better. I should know better, but I forgot. So I had to get in my car, drive back downtown, find parking. A lot of cars in St. Kitts and Nevis right now. Pulled up to the post office, and by the time I got there, they were like, honey, you're going to have to come back tomorrow. We are closing. So the next day, I had to do all of that over again. How many processes do we engage in every single day in St. Kitts and Nevis that are painstakingly difficult? But we do them that way because we always have. How many processes? Good morning. I am Psyche Southwell, and I am a software engineer currently working in the fintech world. And every single day, I work with my customers, companies who want something very simple, for me to help them make their customers' lives easier. So I have a single message for you today, and I think, moderator, I have -5 minutes now, so we can try to work some miracles in that time. And my single message is this: embracing technology to create sustainable and efficient processes is inherently climate friendly. The challenge we face here in St. Kitts and Nevis is that we still, and there have been changes, but we still rely very heavily on manual and paper-based processes. So, to hone in on that message I just shared with you, I'm just going to share 2 quick points that I think help develop and advance us to that. So hopefully by the end of this -5 minute presentation that I have with you today, it will be clear to you and you would be in agreement with me. As an engineer, of course, I can't help but focus on the role of software in reducing waste and paper dependencies. Locally, when something as simple as getting my birth certificate involves visiting multiple locations, getting a stamp, having someone manually retrieve records from physical books, this is both time-consuming, paper-intensive as well. But imagine if all of these records were digitized. A process that can easily take hours today could be done online in minutes, eliminating the need for paper forms, stamps, and travel. This kind of transformation, my friends, is happening all across the world today through the power of software. In my current role, we've been able to completely eliminate the need for paper-based income and employment verifications. If you live in the US or pretty much anywhere in the world, you have to do income and employment verifications to get an apartment, to get a mortgage, to get any kind of loan, right? And right now, my company, instead of having people print pay stubs, fill out forms, our software allows people to access and share their financial data digitally, securely, and instantly. In fact, we brag. We work with companies like Checker, largest background check company in the United States. We brag that we can actually do that verification in less than 90 seconds. So if it happens in longer than that, I get calls, okay? So this software right now is literally revolutionizing the mortgage industry, the banking and lending industry, the background screening industry, and because we've seen a huge rise in gigs, thinking the people that drive Uber, DoorDash, Instacart, it's also revolutionizing that industry as well. And what we offer, my friends, is simply convenience. It's convenience at a fraction of the cost. We get threatened almost every day by some of the big companies like Equifax who want to charge you a lot of money because they buy that data. But by having a user give me permission to share it, we can do it instantly and at a fraction of the cost. It also leads to a significant reduction in paper waste and, of course, carbon emissions, right? Something we've heard a bit about today. So for St. Kitts and Nevis, embracing similar software solutions could bring huge benefits, both environmental and economic. Just think about the number of government services that still rely on paper. From health records to property transactions. By simply transitioning these processes to digital platforms, we can reduce paper usage and the associated energy costs of printing, filing, and transporting those documents. Software is a powerful tool for reducing waste and paper dependency. And it can also serve as a catalyst for creating climate-resilient economies. Can you imagine if one of those superstorms that keep us all up at night when they are moving through our region were to damage our birth records, the physical birth records? By modernizing how we handle data and services, we can make both our environment and our processes more efficient, and doing so is inherently climate friendly. I've been asked to talk about climate-friendly jobs, so I would be remiss not to at least touch on this notion of remote work and the important role that cloud solutions play within that. Undoubtedly, one of the most kind of significant shifts in the last decade has been the rise of remote work and cloud solutions. This shift has not only transformed how we work, but is also reducing our environmental impact. It's a game changer. Remote work is a game changer in terms of reducing our carbon footprint, allowing people like myself to work from anywhere. I spent about 4 weeks total in the last year working right here in St. Kitts and in the business of the world from my computer in St. Kitts. But it cuts down, by allowing us to work anywhere, it cuts down on the need for commuting, which very directly reduces greenhouse gas emissions from transportation. In small island states, like St. Kitts and Nevis, where travel between locations is very inefficient. Did I mention there are a lot of cars in St. Kitts right now? It can be very inefficient. So by expanding more and more work opportunities, we could reduce fuel consumption and the need for more and more larger physical office spaces. This lessens our energy use and also lowers the costs for businesses and employees. That sounds like a win-win situation to me. Cloud computing offers a greener alternative to physical servers, because we talked a lot, you've heard the mention of digitizing our economy. Digital data needs to be stored, but no longer do we need to rely on large physical servers to store that data. We can rely or look to cloud computing. Cloud services store processes and data online. It's literally as simple as that. We store data online, and most of the major players, you think of like Google and Microsoft, they are actually investing heavily in using energy-efficient data centers that allow us all to benefit from that. So, by adopting cloud solutions, businesses and the government in St. Kitts and Nevis can reduce physical infrastructure, lower electricity use, and minimize the environmental impact of hardware. In his remarks just yesterday, our very own Prime Minister spoke of this new perspective on the choice made by many of us to live outside of our beautiful federation. But he said that it doesn't have to mean that we have taken our talents outside of the federation. Cloud technology supports this kind of seamless global collaboration that he spoke of just yesterday. A developer in St. Kitts and Nevis could work with teams abroad. How do I know that? I do this every single day with my own team who reside in Brazil, some in Lithuania, some in London, some in New York City, some in Denver, and me in St. Louis. And we work together seamlessly every day because of the power of cloud computing. So, by adopting remote work models and cloud software, St. Kitts and Nevis can not only reduce its own carbon footprint, but also create a much more resilient, future-proof economy. The combination of these technologies makes it possible to build a sustainable, digital-first approach that benefits both the environment and our workforce. So, how did I do on time? Pretty good, right? I like to be very respectful of people's time, so I will close very quickly by reminding you of that one message, right? Embracing technology to create sustainable and efficient processes is inherently climate-friendly. And technology holds this key to modernizing St. Kitts and Nevis while building climate resilience. Digitizing services like public records and financial systems reduces paper waste, cuts down on carbon emissions, and streamlines processes that currently require physical infrastructure and a lot of running up and down our federation. That does not have to happen. Simultaneously, the shift to a digital economy creates climate-friendly job opportunities. Fields like software development, IT management, cybersecurity, roles that can be performed remotely, allowing St. Kitts and Nevis to participate in this global tech industry all while reducing its environmental impact. So, by investing more in tech infrastructure and workforce development, because we need people trained to be able to manage this, and we are at a Diaspora conference, right? There are a lot of us out there who are willing, ready, able to provide consultation on these moves. By doing so, St. Kitts can embrace a more sustainable, resilient future where both the economy and the environment can thrive beautifully together. So thank you so much. I believe that is my time.
So, I charge and guarantee you and submit to you that this is not just another conference with presentations, because having heard the presenters, I have concluded that we can fit all of these presenters' contribution under one theme, which is creativity. From Mr. Isaac's suggestions of the church's roofs and the school buildings, and we all know how much water you can catch from that. And we also have heard from the other presenters with some creative ideas. That's how the large countries became first world countries, by creating. And what we're finding is that our own people are coming up with ideas, creating jobs, and that's how economies grow. Give the presenters another. And so, we thank all of you for your participation. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to get your questions and or comments. However, did you enjoy the presentations? There we go. Mr. Vaughn.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to keep a steady ship here as we still have to get to Nevis in time for our activities there. And so I want to go quickly into the Menti. So grab your phones and go to menti.com. And the code for this survey, is 89187134. When you get to menti.com, I'd want you to already the people are answering. So, number one, the first question: which area of climate action and resilience planning should the government give its highest priority? In your opinion, if you want the government to work on any one of these as number one, because we can't do all one time, so which one would you consider to be of highest priority? And already we are seeing reliable, safe water supply, followed by green energy capacity. Question 2. How do you envision the diaspora can best get involved in providing green energy and creating sustainable industries? And our options are investing in green energy and sustainable industry businesses, help to shape policies and legislation, focus groups to transfer skills and knowledge. Ooh, I didn't put the fourth one, sorry. So we have 3 in that section. Focus on transferring, which comes sharply behind investing in green energies. Number 3, how would you rank the priorities of Redo's work in involving the diaspora in responsible climate action? So how would you want us to engage with you as the diaspora in making sure that this work is being done? And already we see climate-friendly jobs out front, and now, it's trading spaces. All right, and then our final question. What work plan would you want to contribute to in our pursuit of responsible climate action? So would you want to be involved in water security policy planning, sustainable industries roadmap, green energy strategy, climate-friendly jobs, mapping and training, digitalization for ease of access to goods and services. Thank you very much for your participation. We will now have a 5-minute EC break. Not in US to be converted back. Oh, the bags are here. Good. Okay. I was waiting on them. Thank you. I call upon my dear friend, Her Honor Hailita. Let's hold, please. We need to thank our guests. We need to thank our presenters. So can we just, yes, the bags are here. To call upon Her Honor, the Deputy Governor General for Nevis, who is here with us, to formally give the gifts to our presenters and our moderators. Thank you. We do it in the center here. And as is the tradition, I start with the most able presenter, Mr. Everett Webbo Herbert. Thank you very much, sir, for your contribution to our panel. Then I call on the waterman. Mr. Rawlinson Isaac. Then I call on Dr. Wayne Archibald. Thank you very much, sir. Ms. Hilary Class. I like the idea about those rebars. Never heard of them before. So let's get TDC and Hosford's buying them. And last but by no means least, Psyche Southwell. And thank you very much, Her Honor, Ms. Hailita Lively. Okay. Our 5 minutes begins now. Let's go grab your morning break. Let's bring it back, and the new panel will be convened for that. Thank you very much.
Stories to tell. One of the stories goes like this. You ready? Woke up this morning, sleep in me eye, but the melody have me. I call on the cast, we started writing all of this time. The music just wouldn't leave me. I think turn on the speaker. Put some bets on the Twitter, don't take me away from the music now. Sweeter and sweeter, taking me higher, don't take me away from the music. I keep hearing the melody, feeling take over me. I keep hearing this melody. It's like a feeling take over me. It got me like, oh, yeah, 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 Thank you. Thank you so much. The next one that we're gonna do, I don't think they know it, you know. You think they, fellas, I don't think they know this one. Y'all think they can check out the, you think they know? All right, Zach, I hear you. Okay, look at you. Y'all know this one. Y'all ready? I woke up this morning and I feel it nice. But the path that I chose, I consider unsatisfied. As long as I'm living, my future is shaping. And where I am headed